Welcome everybody to the Rundown. I'm your host, Dr. Sam Zehnder, fitness expert slash enthusiast and physical therapist. Very excited to be joined by my second guest or live guest. Actually, technically my third, but the first set of guests were my parents, and I butchered the video. So here we are, second that's being uploaded. Jordan Semevolos
You got it.
from Height Fitness here in Mequon. Welcome, Jordan. Appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here.
Let's start a little bit with first how we met, because I think that's always good to lay the foundation for everybody. And it's one of my favorite parts of business in general over the last
Yeah.
couple of years, because you never know which way the web of life is going to weave. So we had a mutual client, correct, that kind of linked us through group text,
Yeah.
and from there, you being right down the street, I can speak for myself, anyways. Really appreciated the partnership and. Just again, funny how life works like that. Simple little gestures and small things like that will add up to, I think, a beautiful partnership. So
Yeah.
really appreciate your being
Yeah,
here and
absolutely.
everything we've
Absolutely.
done together.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure.
give everybody a little bit the background of you, how you got to into fitness, into coaching, and how you developed up Height as you have.
Yeah, so I mean going way back, I was just a kid full of way too much energy. Parents are always looking for me to get into something sport related, so I was just constantly going. Um, so I would go from one practice to another just to kind of like keep burning off energy. So it kind of set me up for exactly what I'm doing right now. It kind of works. I went to school for youth ministry. Always a surprise for people. And then,
Bit of a pivot.
yeah,
I'd say.
yep. So I did that for a little while. I worked at the Center for Autism for a little while. It's kind of a glorified gym teacher.
Mhm.
Actually in this exact space.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So I did that for a few years. I got a job at another franchising kickboxing studio. Did that for a few years and then kind of branched out, got some investors, decided to go another route, and here we are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what I guess was the pivot point, or maybe there was like an initial event or thought you had that really made you go from working as part of a franchise or being an employee, if you will, into what, I want to be the leader of this gym or this
Yeah,
mission.
yeah, for sure. Part of it too was being in the franchising world, kind of seeing behind the curtain a little bit. Um, I struggled with it the last couple years doing it, just because there was a lot of rules and regulations. Like they were constantly making changes that I wasn't a huge fan of. And I look at exercise like it's a miracle drug, and I just want to tell as many people about it as I can. And so that was kind of my way out of that world. Got some investors. We did that for a few years, and then eventually I bought them out and took it over completely myself. So
Awesome. That's
yeah,
cool. That's cool you say that because that's my mindset and a lot of other people's mindset in terms of why they go into their own practice, whether it's physical therapy, fitness, gym related, is a lot of the times it's the regulation, it's the burden, it's the red tape that gets involved, and as I'm sure you felt, it limits your ability to really do what you want to do and
yeah.
work with people passionately. So in your day to day, you're very busy, obviously, entrepreneur, business owner. What's maybe the most exciting part about what you do with working with clients or everything else that goes into a business?
Sure. I always joke around about like being on the gym floor. I can't wait to do that part. It's like the office work that I'm always kind of like, oh, all right, here we go. I gotta do this.
Right.
But
Necessary
yeah,
evil.
I love training. And obviously like we do boxing and kickboxing, and I didn't compete in boxing and kickboxing. I was a wrestler. But I have always been interested in combat sports, and I've always just been like obsessed with the art itself. And so it kind of took me that direction because I had a lot of friends and family that didn't work out, mainly because they're just like, I just don't like doing it. And I'm like, well, maybe just haven't found one that you actually enjoy. And I feel like with boxing and kickboxing, that kind of hits a point with a lot of people because it's like the first time you see someone hit a bag, where all of a sudden their eyes like light up and there's like, oh, it's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's cool because I feel like you take a lot of people that wouldn't normally just go like on a treadmill or on a bike or something. It takes them out of that realm of like I'm working out into, hey, I'm kind of having fun doing this, and you're sweating. So
Yeah.
yeah,
The best of both worlds,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But
So that's definitely my favorite part.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool that you segue perfectly into like how hype is different from the traditional like, gym setting or fitness as many people appreciate it, and that's within my scope as a physical therapist, what I try to help engage people in is that activity can take on many different forms. Fitness
Yeah.
can take on many different forms. It's not just the boring, go to the gym with 1,000 other people, treadmill, couple curls, bench press, and that's it.
Yep.
Because for a lot of people, they can fall off that. Maybe they feel lonely or feel like it's not getting them anywhere. So
Yeah.
how does hype differ from that experience, both in the day to day and also like month to month with the sense of community built up?
Yeah, yeah. So one of my strengths is I constantly want to keep improving. Um, it's a blessing and a curse at the
Mm,
same time. For that reason, though, hype itself, because I created the workout myself, it's changed so many times, and it's constantly evolving. It's constantly getting better. Um, so one of the biggest reasons why people stop working out is they get bored, right?
mm,
And so it's like I try to figure out a way. All right, how do we create a program that's efficient, but also not boring? Like, how
mm.
do we kind of trick people into like doing very similar muscle groups without doing the same exact thing every
Right.
time? Um, so there's kind of been some back and forth on that, and I'm lucky enough to have clients that I've been working with for over 10 years now, and I can kind of work with them a little more flexible than with some other people. Like if I go through a workout with someone and all of a sudden I'm like, all right, like let's switch this up. They kind of give me like a weird look, like, oh, that's not very professional. Like I thought you were kind of so. It helps because I can kind of work through programs with people in that sense.
Hmm.
And so with that, we kind of like evolved. Like I think in the last 6 years, we've changed the workout by 9 times.
Okay.
And it's like since the last one, which was about 2 years ago, we haven't touched it. And it's
Hmm.
just like I think we kind of like got to a point where it's just like, all right, like this one works. So we have like a skeleton program. Like we have like the muscle groups that we're trying to hit obviously each
Hmm.
week, and then we kind of like adapt as we go.
So there's a system to it. You're obviously very intentional. It's not
Yep.
just a cookie cutter process
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
this is what everybody does forever.
Yeah.
So let's take a little bit of a step back for our viewers and listeners on the kind of the nuts and bolts behind your workout and how it differs. Not
Yeah.
to, you have to give up any
Yeah.
proprietary
Yeah. Yeah.
information,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if I'm somebody who's maybe thinking about hype or just a different facility, what could I expect if I come into a workout with
Yeah,
you?
yeah, for sure. So I think a lot of people hear that we do boxing, kickboxing. It's either one of two things, right? Like it's people that think we're like hitting each other, which we're not. And then there's people that are just like, I could never do this. It's like we have like a good mix of both, obviously, right?
Hmm.
So when you come in, it's not just boxing, kickboxing. We have a strength section, we have an endurance section. We call it endurance, but that's a wide variety of things that we do over in that section.
Hmm.
And then we do the boxing, then we have the kickboxing. So those are two actually separate things. So with our strength section, we do 1 week, we do increasing the weight. So like let's say it's just squats, right? So instead of you go through one set and you take a break, you do two other exercises, let's say chest press and then bent over rows.
Hmm.
Next time you go through that, then we increase the weight. So like that's 1 week. And then the following week we do similar exercises, not exactly the same, but then we increase the reps. And then the following week we do an eccentric week. So all of a sudden it's just like, all right, we're going to go down slow, coming back up fast. Then the last week, that fourth week, that's where we do those isometrics. So you're holding those positions.
Hmm.
So we're trying to focus a little more on like that longevity training as well, while also keeping it interesting for people.
Hmm.
So we have that strength section first. That's about 10 minutes. We have the endurance side, which is a little more. We have like the echo bikes, which very few people like those.
Everyone's favorite, yeah.
But it's phenomenal. Like I
Yeah.
mean, if you want a good safe way to get your heart rate up, that's a great way to do it.
Hmm.
We have the battle ropes, the TRX kettlebells. We got a lot of different things over on that side. Then we have the kickboxing side, which is just like long, heavy bags, and then we have aqua bags, which is filled with water.
Hmm.
I love those things. I switched over to those when we first opened.
Yeah.
It feels so much better on your elbows, on your shoulders. So I love that we made that switch.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's yeah,
that's such a unique stimulus too. You're not
yeah,
going to find that at, commercial gym or any run of the mill
right.
place.
Yep, yep.
So that's
And
awesome.
I think it helped too because I'm a personal trainer first,
Hmm.
and so I try to run the gym like a personal trainer. And so like when we're going through the workouts and I start to notice things, it's easier for me to also be the owner to make that switch very quickly.
Hmm.
Be like, all right, you know what? I think this is going to be better for the workout overall. Let's go in that direction.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Again, for something I knew about you, of course, but for those of you who are just meeting you, to hear that you are not just the owner, but you're actively engaged in
Yeah.
each workout, in the process.
Yep.
Having worked with many of your clients in a physical therapy setting, I can attest to your clients also having awesome feedback for how you are engage and really care about their performance as well.
Yeah.
And you mentioned longevity, which
Mhm.
I want to touch on because that's something that, in the physical therapy scope, I try to focus on, right? Not just getting people out of an acute injury and acute pain and then getting them back to a lifestyle that maybe isn't ideal,
Yeah.
but thinking more across the lifespan. So, in what ways would you say hype really emphasizes that, like, demographically?
Yeah, sure. So we all want to we all want to look good on a beach, right? Like it's just like that's always great. Like it's a good reason to kind of get in the gym, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it's like, man, I just feel better, like overall mentally, when I work out on a
Hmm.
regular basis. And so we kind of go in that direction. And so once we can kind of get people into the program, I think they start to realize when we do the eccentric, when we do the isometrics, they're like, oh yeah, like this is actually good because I'm not like constantly getting hurt. I'm not like always in pain. Like it's
Hmm.
like you're always going to be a little bit sore. Hopefully not too much. We try to program it so you're not constantly in
Just the
pain.
right amount. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think people are starting to kind of buy into that and realizing that all right, it's not necessarily just trying to get like a six pack. Like it's just
Right.
like yeah, like how do I just feel better?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
how do I fix that posture? How do I like do a lot of different things? So
Right.
yeah,
So
yep,
the goals can be very different, but your clients are also very different too. It's not like you're
yeah,
only working with 20-year-olds, you're only working with 80-year-olds.
right, yep,
What would you say that the ranges from ages, backgrounds,
yeah.
personalities in general?
Yeah, so one thing that we do a little bit different too is it's not necessarily just so many reps and so many sets. We actually go off of a 3 minute clock.
Hmm.
And so like I said, those sections are all 10 minutes each. So we could have a D2 soccer player right next to somebody that's 75 years old.
Hmm.
And they're doing very similar exercises, but at very different speed and very different intensity, right? So it's easier in that sense to like train because I can go from like person to person. And even if someone's like, hey, I have like bad knees, I can't do like retro lunges as well, we can easily switch that up.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we have people right out of high school. We have people that are like I said in their 70s. Um, everybody's got a little bit of a different goal, and that's kind of my specialty. Is
Yeah.
I love being able to adapt on the fly like that.
And
So
how do you personally, or I guess professionally as well in the business, how do you maybe track goals or maybe make sure that your clients are doing the things that they need to for their specific goals? Because as you mentioned, everybody's goal is different, and so that can be hard when you're managing so many different clients. But
yeah,
are there ways or systems that you use through Hype to make sure that people are actually progressing towards what they want to?
yeah, for sure. So we have a system. Um, it's we just do like a weekly test kind of thing. So we
Hmm.
do something like this week is actually the agility ladder. Um, it's interesting because not everybody always likes doing the test. Some people just want to come in and work on, and I'm like I get that, like that's fine.
Hmm.
We also do a balance test. I know you and I have kind of talked about that one, and people are like, why are we doing this in a gym setting? It's just
Right.
like you do start to realize like how important balance is
Oh yeah.
for that longevity, and so
Hmm.
we test things like that. We test grip strength. So just tiny little things like that, and it's not necessarily that you're going to improve in every area, but it's just kind of nice to have that data across the board and be like, all right, like this has actually gotten a little bit worse over the last 2 years. Like let's try to figure that out.
Hmm.
Or hey, like look how far you've come.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like your vertical went up 3 inches. That's crazy. And
Yeah.
like you might not even realize that like all the hard work you've been doing is actually paying off.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that objective data is definitely huge. That's something I try to use clinically as well because, as I think as a creature, humans are very, these people are very number oriented, very goal oriented, tend
yep.
to be. And so it takes some of the bias out when we can say like, hey, it's not just, how I feel today or how you feel today,
Yeah.
but here's actually, how your numbers stack up and over time, here's how things are going.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
um, the challenge there with a lot of clients is that everybody has a different rate. Some and life is complex. There's going to be some phases of life where maybe your data, your numbers, so to speak, they don't look as favorable. They're trending the wrong way. So, what is it? Do you have an example of how you've maybe taken a client through that and sort of redirected them back onto a good route, or maybe
Yeah.
kind of been
So
that cheerleader for them?
yeah, and for some people it's I'll give it just like a current example. So we have one person that wants to they didn't do great on the agility ladder. And so they're just like, how do I improve that? So like
Hmm.
throughout their workout when they come in, we add that in just a little bit. And so like all of a sudden we do like a little bit of quick feet instead of doing the bike. So like it kind of like directly focuses on that. So they really want to focus on just improving that. We can just focus on that. Obviously not everybody wants to just improve on the agility ladder, but that's just a moment right now. So
Right.
yeah.
So you have a lot of different metrics, obviously, that
Yep.
you can use, but
Yeah. Yeah. We have
um,
about 12 different tests.
okay,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yep.
And again, from all the different backgrounds that your clients can come from, I'm sure they come in with different expectations, different feelings, as any business owner would
Yeah.
recognize. But um, you do a great job, from what I've heard, anyways, of gaining feedback from your clients. So what would you say is maybe the most consistent theme of what people enjoy about hype,
Yeah.
whether it's the workouts or just the culture in general?
The culture plays a big part. You always hear gyms kind of say like, "Oh, we're like a family." I don't necessarily say we're like a family. We're more like a team because
Mm-hmm.
it's like my dad used to coach me in wrestling, and we did not always agree on a lot of things. And it wasn't always the like. Obviously, sometimes it is, but
Right.
with a team, it's like I feel more like the captain, and then we kind of like work in that sense. So it's just like I'm like right in the front lines with everybody,
Yeah.
and so that kind of helps. So it definitely feels like when you walk in, everybody wants to see everybody do well. Last week was the vertical test, and so when we had people jumping up there, like half the room like stopped just because they wanted to see and like cheer that person on. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like that's so cool for me to see because it's like I never once said like, hey, like make sure everybody's doing well. Everybody just wants to see that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's cool for me as like the one that created the process. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's also cool for me to hear too, because as we said initially, that's the kind of thing when it can go wrong is that culture, and that's what drives a lot of people away from the gym.
yeah, yep,
Whether it's I had one bad experience or consistent series of experiences
yeah,
where coach or an owner was negative, and it just discourages people from wanting to be active,
yeah, yep,
or to better themselves. So the fact that you put that on its head, put it
yeah,
the exact opposite thing is awesome.
yep.
So what would you say is, though, on the flip side, maybe the biggest challenge that you find, either from the business side of things or from the personal training side of things? Because, of course, life is never always sunshine and roses, but
Sure,
you got
sure.
to weather those storms too.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'll toss this one back to you too. It's one of the hardest things is like I try and tell as many people as I can about you, and sometimes people work really hard in the gym, but they don't always recognize and acknowledge the fact that like, hey, like you might actually need some extra help
Hmm.
in physical therapy. So that's definitely one where you got to try to be nice about it and not just be like, hey, go over there. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So that's definitely one. Um, you don't typically see it as much anymore, but the effort level
Hmm.
sometimes like it's like you have people that come in, they like I want to lose this much weight, and it's just like the intensity doesn't always match the goal that they're hoping for,
Hmm.
and it's hard to kind of explain that sometimes, and obviously like in a nicer way without just being completely blunt about it.
Hmm.
But that gets tough sometimes, but we don't have that as much anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, which I think is a testament to the culture that you have developed, and
yeah,
people are smart. They can get a sense pretty quickly of how does everybody else feel about this environment, about the coach, about the
yeah,
workouts,
yep,
and as soon as the inkling or the seed gets planted that, oh, maybe this guy doesn't really care about us, or
yeah,
maybe the enthusiasm is low, that
yeah,
spreads.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's harder to squelch rather than building up the positive
Yeah, yeah,
um, environment as well too.
yeah,
So again, testament to all the work you put in there.
yeah. It's kind of funny too because it's so when you come in with COVID, we kind of had to like assign like a section because we
Hmm.
had to have the like social distancing. So like we started doing this thing during COVID where like I had to like tell people you have to stand exactly here. And COVID ended, and everyone's just like, well, no, keep doing that. Like, just tell me exactly where to go. Like, where do I start in this process? Because not
Yeah.
everybody starts on strength. Some people start on the bag. Some people start on endurance.
Hmm.
What's funny though is I kind of mix and match and like almost play like a speed dating kind of thing because I get to put personalities next to each other
Hmm.
that walking by each other, I don't think they'd ever say two words to each other, but their intensity matches so well that all of a
Yeah.
sudden like they become friends for that reason alone. It's be like, hey, like we work out really great together.
Hmm.
And so it's cool to kind of see like two people right next to each other working insanely hard, not saying a word to each other, but the reason they're working hard is because the next person next to them is also working hard.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Yeah.
And I'm glad you shared that detail, because that again exemplifies how you are much more than just a figurehead that's trying to run a class. Like
Yeah.
the fact that you are paying attention to everybody's personality
Yep.
too is a very unique trait.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that I've tried to make a point on, in all my client interactions as well. I've made different various videos on the importance of just communication skills, I think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, is lost a lot since COVID, since you
Yeah.
mentioned that. But in the health and fitness space, like that matters so much.
Yeah.
It's not just as simple as, give me a workout, but how do I work with somebody who actually like cares about and values me as a person,
Yeah. Yep.
which obviously you're attesting to. So before the episode, we were started to talk about, this is ideally going to be a recurring topic that we can keep touching on. So I don't want to have Jordan
Yeah.
spoil all of the good news here about hype and his beliefs in fitness and all of that. But if you had parting words or parting thoughts, maybe summary thoughts on you or hype or how you operate as far as creating a healthier environment or community, what's maybe the primary message that you'd hope people take away from you
Yeah.
when they meet you?
Yeah. So I feel like I've really grown as a trainer. When I first started, I was just like all about intensity, right? Just like work as hard as you possibly can. And I've kind of slowly started to realize that like not everybody's gonna fit into that mold, right? So it's just like for some people when they come in, they're like, I'm not ready to do a 45-minute workout yet, but they're ready to do a 15, 20-minute one. So there's some people that come in and I'm like, all right, we're just gonna start you here. When you're done, you're done. Like it's just we're gonna move on. Like you come back in 2, 3 days, and then we go again. So I'm starting to see a lot better results with that because people stick with it then, right? It's just like if somebody starts out and they're just like insanely sore, they're like, I can't sit on the toilet because my like legs hurt so much. Not great for retention, right? It's just like, all right, like we're not going to be consistent if you're always in pain. So I think for some people, it's like just you're walking. Like if you don't do anything right now, all right, like walk, do some squats, do some push-ups, then you're done. Like don't overdo it right away, and just slowly like work your way in. And we've kind of geared a little more towards that of just like we're not gonna kill you when you first come in. If you want to, like if you want that intensity right off the bat, like
That's a separate package.
that door's open. But
Yeah.
like so I always tell people, I'm just like just take your time.
Mm-hmm.
Like stick to that. Like try to get 3 times a week. Like the simple recommendation. 3 times a week, just take your time, and then once you get into the routine of like your body kind of knows like, hey, this is just what we do now. Like I work out like as part of my week, you see so much better results. So that's definitely one where it's just like just start and take your time.
Yeah, I mean, it really just boils down to the basic fundamentals of habit forming, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yep.
Just start small, start with something that's palatable, and build from there.
Yeah.
And in this space specifically, I think that's so important. Our culture is very much wants instant results, wants to be in point B immediately.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to hear that you're somebody in the local community here who is making a mission of taking people of all different backgrounds and abilities and getting them to that point B, whatever it means for them,
Yeah.
in attainable feats.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And the only other thing would just be find something that you enjoy doing. And stick with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so got to keep it
Yep.
enjoyable.
Yep.
So, well, thank you very much for your time.
Of course.
Appreciate you guys watching, listening, whatever it is. Yeah, if you're looking for a more exciting avenue for your fitness, something that's a little bit different, maybe small amount of frustration you want to take out on some bags, look out for Hype Fitness in Mequon. So, Jordan, thank you very much for your time.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. All right. Peace, everybody.